Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today we're doing a side-by-side camera comparison between the iPhone 6s and the Galaxy S7. So we're going to start with four different categories. This first one right here is our low light, and then we're going to go into detail, then color reproduction, and of course the all-important selfies. So right away, you do see Samsung's major advantage does come into play. When it comes to the iPhone 6s and the S7, there is really no comparison. The low light on the S7 is dramatically better. It handles the overexposure from the light post, which were rather bright on this street, and it definitely deflated them, if you can say, on the S7, whereas the iPhone 6s definitely had that lens flare that was really big and definitely overexposed the shot. Whereas here, this is a shot you could definitely send even if you were doing real estate. This is a good looking shot for that nighttime of this building. So really overall, when it comes to these shots, it definitely stands out that even in the detail and the coloration, everything just will look better on the S7. So overall, when it comes to low light, the S7 is definitely going to take the new crown, at least from the iPhone 6s, in terms of being the better low light between the two. So for this category, the S7 will take it. Now in this category right here, we see the first difference of the over-under exposure that is going on with these two phones. While the S7 gets a bit darker in terms of the color, the iPhone 6s is kind of washing it out. Now, very important to note, where I tapped to focus on this was the PS3 logo right here on the iPhone 6s and right here on the Galaxy S7. Again, we wanted to see the detail, and when we're looking at this area, we're going to zoom in and just see how well each one did on detail. But that's what we're really going on in this video is detail. So the color over under exposure we'll get to in the color reproduction in the next photo. But really when it comes to this, you can just see that the blacks are much blacker on the S7, whereas the orange is, more movie orange, but maybe not as true. The real BB-8 box is in between these two in terms of coloring, so it's just interesting overall how they look. But definitely, if you wanted to take a photo of BB-8, this is a much better looking photo than this one. So as we zoom in to see on this side over here with the iPhone 6s, we can see that although the PS3 is in focus, these are definitely under focused, as well as the Disney and BB-8 and the Sphero up here. So it did focus on this part, but just didn't focus overall on everything here. Most of the games look out of focus, except for the ones with big letters like Call of Duty and Uncharted. You can't really make out most of the games. However, when we go over here to the S7, you can see that although these are both 12 megapixel cameras, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of clarity. So definitely the PS3 and PS4 definitely look a lot better. You can read the majority of the titles, although some still fade out. Deadpool's a little bit faded right here, as well as Tekken, but most of them you can see or read a lot clearer than the iPhone did. And even in the text of the BB-8, the Sphero, and Disney logo, you can make them all out a little bit more in comparison, although again not perfectly clear. Being both of them are 12 megapixels. So overall, yes, the clarity is going to go to the S7 just for having the better overall detail between the two. Now, where the S7 isn't going to win any fans is with color reproduction. Now, again, the iPhone has a bit more of a washed out exposure in this photo comparing to the S7, as it tends to get a little bit overexposed, but definitely when it comes to green in both the Android and the Sheriff, iPhone is handling it much better compared to the S7. So in compared to green, these are not true on either one of these devices, although it's going to be, again, a little bit darker than you actually see it. This is definitely more brighter than it actually is. So the truth lies in between these photos, on most of these colors. For instance, on the purple, it's not quite this vivid, but it's definitely not that quite washed out. And in terms of the yellow, this is actually pretty accurate compared to the iPhone's a little bit too washed out. And the orange is closer here, but it's more in between. Where it really also messes up on the S7 is it's definitely not this yellow. But again, it's not this washed out either. So in terms of color reproduction, while neither does a fantastic job, I would say, with these colors, the iPhone 6s is closer to having the better color reproduction. So for this point, that will go to the iPhone 6s. And now we go to selfies. Well, selfies are a hard task for everyone that wants to take a great looking selfie. But with this one, we strain the cameras to actually see if they can really do it under the harshest conditions. So with this condition between the two, it really is a hard selfie to take, yet this is doing fairly well on both of them. So this is always an underexposed area to the left. We have no lighting whatsoever on this side, and you can see the iPhone definitely handles it with a lot of noise, especially on the top and everything else. It's just a lot more noise. The S7 handles a little bit less and more of a flattened look, but it just does get a bit more detail in compared to the iPhone 6s. Now on this shot, it's getting overexposed by a very bright light coming from the top. And while neither one handles it as good as we've seen phones in the past, even the Note 5 actually in particular handled this shot much better. Overall, in terms of the overexposure, it's a little bit more on the iPhone as the overexposure is bleeding in completely, where over here you're getting a little bit more detailed in everything behind me. Now, in the overall shot, you might notice that one is definitely wider, and that's because the S7 has a much wider angle than the iPhone 6s, which means you can get a lot more in the shot. As you can see, the belt I'm holding here, you can actually see almost the entire belt, whereas the iPhone you get cut off right here, not to mention the shirt as well. So overall, in terms of getting more in the shot, you definitely want to go with the S7. And overall, in terms of the selfie detail, you just get a little bit less noise on the S7 than you do the iPhone 6s. Although none of these did perfect in this selfie comparison, the S7 just overall is going to be much better in terms of having more clarity and much wider angle. So with that said, when it comes to low light, the S7 is the winner. When it comes to detail, the S7 is the winner. When it comes to color reproduction, the iPhone 6s is the winner. And when it comes to selfies, again, the Galaxy S7 is the winner. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up down below. This has been RICKY, the Android.